Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have such a fun video for you guys today. We're on the brink of summer and I am sharing with you guys a go-to summertime look today with some of my favorite products to reach for in the summertime. I cannot wait to share this one with you guys. I love how this look turned out. We're using some new brushes today that I just picked up from BK Beauty. I know, what has taken me so long? I feel like I'm the last person in the world that hasn't tried out BK Beauty's brushes yet. So I'm really excited to give them a try and we will be creating this makeup look today. But before we get into that, welcome if you are new here. Please consider subscribing to my channel and make sure that your notifications are turned on. With that said, we've got a lot of makeup put on, so let's get to it. Okay, before we get started, I'm gonna add just a little bit of lip balm to my very dry lips. This is just the Kapari Clear Lip Glossy. Normally I love using my Laneige, the lip gloss, not the lip sleeping mask. I lost it though. My gummy bear one, the purple one. I did a thorough hunt for it. I even looked in like my snow jackets, all my snow clothing. I remember I took that lip balm with me when we went snowboarding this winter. I might have to rebuy it. That's the surest way to get something to show up, is to repurchase it. Okay, let's move on to some skin prep. So I'm gonna add a little bit of my serum. This is just the Dewdrops, the Glow recipe. I did my skincare a couple of hours ago. My skin's kind of feeling dry again. This is just really nice for adding a bit of hydration. And then on top of that, I want to kind of double duty. We're going to do a glowy primer. I'm going to take my Say Glowy Super Gel. I love these. I mean, I love these types of primers any time of year. I think especially approaching summer. I just want my skin to look extra healthy and glowy. So I'm just going to put this on kind of the high points of my face. A little bit up here. Most of it I'm concentrating in this area right here. This one's great because it gives you really intense pearly glow, but also some hydration. Okay, let's move on to foundation. So I picked two summer go-tos for me. I love both of these individually, particularly in the summertime, and they make a really great combination. First off, the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear. This is my absolute go-to for the summertime. Very sweat and heat resistant, very long wearing, but today we're gonna combine it with another favorite of mine, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous Foundation. This makes a great little combo. Both of these are relatively long wearing. This one is absolutely long wearing and budge proof, but it can be a little bit drying. This one adds just a little bit of hydration to it. So we're going to combine these two together today. I'm gonna do one pump of each of these today. And today we're gonna apply it with a brush. I'm just gonna take this BH Cosmetics brush. I've been playing around with different foundation brushes. I've kind of been getting back into using brushes for my foundation more recently. And honestly, a lot of brushes don't work for me for foundation. For some reason, this one, which is basically just like a flat top, but it's, I don't know if you can tell, it has a little bit of like a indentation into it. So it works well for the contours of my face. But I like the flatter top. It seems to be a little less streaky than some other foundation brushes. Another one that I really love, but it's a little bit smaller, is the It Cosmetics dual-ended one. That one works really well. It's just not quite as wide at the top, so it takes a little bit longer to apply my foundation with that one. By the way, I don't think I mentioned the color of these. In the ABH, I have the 270C color and the color Linen, I think it's 425. Yeah, 425 Linen in the L'Oreal. By the way, this is I think my third or fourth bottle of the L'Oreal foundation. By far my most repurchased foundation of all time. And one that I use regularly to mix in more often than I use it on its own. In the summertime, I'll use it on its own, but in the winter, it can be a little bit drying on me, but it does make more hydrating foundations last a lot longer. I don't know about you guys, especially when I am not filming, it is rare that I will take just one foundation and use it. There's something about like mixing things and matching colors and different formulations together to try to find like a perfect fit. That's very appealing to me. It feels like a science experiment. I just get a lot of joy out of trying to find the perfect mixture, and it's fun to try and mix foundations together and see what will work. Okay, there is the foundation. So we're gonna move on to concealer. As I mentioned at the start of this video, we are working with a new set of brushes today. I got my first set of BK Beauty brushes. I've been intending to try these out for a very, very long time. I know everybody seemingly loves these and uses these and talks about them. I initially wanted to get the Nikki LaRose set. It's been out of stock for a while, but I ended up getting the Angie Hot and Flashy set, which has some really nice looking eye brushes in it, and also a perfect little face brush here that I imagine this would work for a lot of different things. I think it looks like a great bronzer brush. It's like a larger angled brush, but it would also work for blush. I mean, maybe not highlighter, it's maybe a little big for highlighter, but looks like a really nice brush. They feel really soft. And then we also got a concealer brush. One of the reasons I wanted to pick up this set is when I saw this brush just on their website, it kind of reminded me of maybe, not a dupe, but something that I could use for my liquid and cream blushes to kind of use as kind of an alternative for my alter ego brush. I love this brush, I use it all the time, but I always kind of feel bad that I use it so often and recommend it so highly because you have to get the full set of these brushes, which is a decent set. These aren't the like highest quality, softest feeling brushes ever, but they are really good. They're super affordable, but this is the brush that I use all the time from that set. It just works perfectly for cream and liquid blushes, which you guys know I am obsessed with. So I use this brush almost every single day, and I thought this could be an alternative for it, but looking at it now, it's quite a bit smaller. I think this is going to be a little bit too small to use for blush. I mean, this is just the perfect shape because it's small, but it's not so small that that doesn't give you a little bit of shape to start out with. Anyways, I mentioned that because I initially wanted to try this with a cream blush. I'm not sure I'm gonna do that today, which made me think maybe I should try using it for my concealer. I know that's kind of what it was intended for. And I'll be honest, guys, I never apply concealer with a brush. It is the one form I never use to apply my concealer. I'll sometimes use my finger. Almost always I use a damp beauty blender, but today let's try it out with a brush. So we are going to use my Flex Concealer from Revlon. Let's start out with the darker shade. This is the shade Light Medium. We're gonna use this on the perimeter of my face. I have just a couple spots that need a little bit more coverage. Honestly, not much. I feel like that foundation combination did a really good job. Both of those have really good, solid, maybe high medium coverage. So I'm just gonna apply this on some of these hyperpigmentation patches that I have. All right, and then we'll take the brush, kind of just tap those in. Ooh, that's nice. Actually, that works really well. It feels like a finger, honestly. Like it's like the shape of like a large finger, but blends out more quickly than a finger. You just have a peek here. Yeah, that's nice. No brush streaks. It's a good shape of a brush for concealer. Okay, I might be a concealer brush convert today, after today. Now I feel a little bit less disappointed that this isn't larger and that I won't be able to use it as a cream blush. I don't know, I'm still tempted to try it today just because why not? Okay, that worked fantastic. Blended really, really quickly. Just as quickly, if not more so, than with a sponge. So now let's go over to the lighter shade. This is just the shade Light. This concealer, I think I've mentioned before, I really like it. It's nice and thin, but it's very high coverage. It does start to kind of dry down on you though, so you need to blend it kind of quickly. So I like to do, it works better if you do smaller areas at a time and kind of blend them as you go. So I'm using it as an eye primer today and just to kind of brighten this little pocket just right there. I don't want to go all the way across my under eye, just right there, and maybe kind of use the leftover just down the center of my face. There we go. Look at the coverage on my eyelids, guys. I look crazy right now because my eyelids are so white, but it makes for a great base for eyeshadow. Speaking of eyeshadow, let's jump right over to eyeshadow before we do the face and the eyebrows, because I was so excited to pull this palette out. This is one of my all-time favorite summertime palettes. It is the Natasha Denona Sunrise. This one's a little harder to find now. I think you can still find it on Natasha Denona's website and also Beautylish, I believe, the last time I checked, but just check out this color story. Maybe I'll insert some swatches for you guys right here just for fun because this is a fun palette to swatch. Such a fun summer color story. I know for some people these yellowy oranges might seem intimidating, but they look beautiful on the eyes, especially when you pair them with some of the berry or kind of orangey tones in here. And the pinks and golds. It's just a really fun palette that creates lots of beautiful looks. So let's jump right in with this one. We're gonna use the Angie brush set here. So let's start off with this brush right here. By the way, I don't think I mentioned the brush number. This is the A506, the concealer one that I used. And we're gonna start off on the eyes with the A503, which is the largest blending brush. For today, let's start out in this bright yellow right here. I wanna prove to you guys that it is possible to get a wearable look out of these yellows and berries. So we're gonna start with the yellow and we're gonna pop that slightly above the crease. This is just gonna barely peek out from the colors that we put underneath it. You really do not need a lot of this color. It is very, very pigmented. Probably on its own, this is a color I would not wear alone. Like that alone, unless it was like a vibe you were going for, looks a little sickly to me, but it does pair beautifully with these other colors. Don't think I'm gonna put this one down below the lower lash line though. I'm just gonna kind of keep it right up here in the crease. Okay, now we're gonna jump down to this darker yellow right here. This is more of like a safflower kind of color. This is more of a mustard. We're gonna take this with the A502, which is the crease shader, and we're gonna apply this right in the socket. Again, this is gonna peek up above the crease, but in a much smaller way. I mean, we're kind of like building a gradient here. So I'm just kind of slowly getting my spread a little bit lower. So this is basically just going right in the socket. If you don't have an obvious crease, you can do this same effect. You just need to visually, if you have like a flatter eyelid, you just need to visualize, you know, starting higher and then going a little lower and then a little bit lower, a little more detailed as you go. You just kind of have to visualize and draw your crease. I've done makeup on not a lot of people, but quite a few people. And I love doing makeup on people that don't have a socket or that have a flatter eye shape. I think it's really fun. Like you can create the eye shape yourself. You're not kind of beholden to the structure that's already there. Okay, and now we're gonna keep that same brush. I'm gonna wipe it off. I have a clean towel in my lap and we are just going to add this shade right here. This shade Clove. It's a really nice kind of deep purpley berry tone. And this shade, I'm gonna start in the outer corner and kind of move it down towards the lower lash line and then slowly work it in underneath where I put that safflower color. Kind of replaces all that orange with the berry tone, and then the orange just kind of like gives this little halo around the edge, which I love. I go through the crease here about halfway, just really lightly. Oh, look at that color though. I love shades like this in the outer corner. This is kind of color that when I started my YouTube channel, I would only ever put like grays or blacks or browns in my outer corner. And then I discovered berries and kind of reddish colors and never looked back. They're so beautiful. I don't know why I was afraid of them for so long. This brush is really soft. It's nice. They seem to be working well. I kind of knew that they very likely would. Okay, we're going to take that same shade. I'm gonna take this even smaller brush, the A504. This one is called the Detailer. I like these kind of brushes, like the really tiny blending brushes. I used to love like a brush combo like this, a large blender and a small blender like this was kind of my go-to. I kind of feel like I've transitioned into preferring lately something more of like a C-shaped kind of smudgy brush. I'm trying to think, something along the lines of this one, the Refer number 2. See how it's kind of like a little bit more dense, kind of C-shaped. It's more like a smudging kind of brush. I like it to kind of really shape things out rather than blend. You can do basically the same thing with either of these types of brushes. This one's just a little bit denser, so if you want to pack a little bit more depth or richness or color, do more of like a lining method with it, you can do that. But we're gonna take this into that same color, the color Clove, just a tiny, tiny bit on the very tip right there. We're gonna start on the outer corner and just slowly drag this just a third of the way down and meet up with this outer corner right here. Kind of round the shape out here. I don't want to put too much, just to add a little bit of shape and depth down below. So let me know what your plans are for summer. I am so excited for summer. My kid's last day of school is tomorrow, think it's a half day. So basically we are winding down. I mean, we're basically done. By the time this video goes up, my kids will full time be home for the summer. Well, not all of them. My oldest son is still, he's done with school, he's done with baseball, but he hasn't moved back yet. I think he's planning to move back this weekend. It's kind of gonna be our last summer with him. He's actually getting married this summer. So I'm gonna be planning a wedding. Well, I am in the process of planning a wedding right now. Actually, there's a lot of things I still need to do, but very exciting. I'm super excited for them. Okay, now let's jump over to the shimmer. So we're gonna start off in this shimmer right here. This one's kind of like a pink tone. This is the shade Awakening. And we're gonna use the shimmer brush. I think this is called the A505, the shimmer. It's just basically a flat kind of concealer type brush. If I'm using a brush, I often use my finger, but if I am using a brush, this is a perfect type of brush to use for a shimmer. If you wanna get a lot of punch, you can dampen your brush with some setting spray or water, but I'm just gonna just put it right on the brush. Ooh, this is a nice shape. I like it. It's kind of taller than like a traditional, more of a concealer, flat concealer brush. It's a little bit longer. It actually works really good for shimmer. So I'd love to know how many of you guys have the BK Beauty brushes. I know that they have a lot. They have this set, they have the Nikki LaRose set, and then just the original. I think she's done a couple of releases of the original BK Beauty. Let me know if you guys have these. What do you think of them? I'm pretty impressed so far. Honestly, I love my Sydney Grace and my rougher brushes. Those are kind of, for the most part, what I use most of the time. And I am perfectly happy with them, so I've just not felt the need to try out some new brushes, but I just decided, you know, it's been a while and I know that a lot of people have these, and it's kind of nice to have brushes that other people already have or kind of switch things up a little bit. I also love my Persona brushes. I use those a lot too. They're always on my desk. Okay, so now we're gonna add just something to the inner corner. Let's take the shade right next to it, this one right here, which is a little bit more of a gold. Same thing on that same brush. And this we're going to put in the inner third. This basically was just on the center. Actually, before we move on to the eyebrows, I wanted to add a little bit of this. So this is just a single shadow that, I'm sorry, you can't even buy this from, it's from Sydney Grace. It comes from her Tropical palette, which is the collaboration that she did with the Fancy Face, Tina the Fancy Face. This is the best color ever. It's called Coconut. It's kind of a, I can't explain it. It's like a very pigmented, subtly, it has a slight sheen to it, but it's not really a shimmer, kind of like buttercream color. And it is the most beautiful inner corner shade ever. If you want to brighten up your lid, if you're doing like a warmer look, like a bronzy look or something like this, it looks amazing on the very inner corner. Sometimes I'll put it on like the inner part of the whole lid, just kind of that inner fourth. But today we're just going to apply this right at the inner corner. Just look at that. Do you guys see that punch? But it's not so shimmery that it looks like you're bedazzled. Just the right amount of sheen, but tons of pigment and brightness to it. It's a great inner corner shade. I've been trying to find a dupe for it. I actually just ordered some single shadows from Sephora trying to dupe this. But I've yet to find one that's quite this nice. And Sydney Grace, if you happen to be watching this, I know I've said this before, you really need to release this exact color in a single, because the world needs this. While we're at it, why don't we add a little bit to the brow bone? The same color, just right under the very top. I know my brows aren't done yet. Normally I would do this after I did my brows, but today we're just doing a tinted brow gel, so that's okay. Okay, now let's move on to the brows. Then we'll do liner and mascara. I'm kind of going in a weird order today. I'm just gonna throw in a little bit of my e.l.f. Shape and Stay wax first. I'm gonna brush those upright. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit of a tinted brow gel. I've been doing this a lot more recently. Talked about this in my makeup in a hurry video. And I'm kind of obsessed with this quick way of doing your brows. I'm gonna take a little bit of, this is from Laka. This is a K-beauty brand that I don't know that you can still find. I tried to look this up recently and I couldn't find it online, which is unfortunate because this is such a good tinted brow gel. But there are others that I love. I love the NYX The Glue in medium brown. I love the Refi medium brown. Okay, let's do just a touch of liner, Wet n Wild. just on this outer corner. I'm just doing a tiny little baby wing. Now I'll throw on a couple coats of one of my favorite summertime mascaras. This is the Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water. I'll do that off camera, then I'll come back. We'll finish off with the cheeks and the lips. Okay, moving on to the face. So I pulled out my Sydney Grace Luminous Light Face Palette. We're mostly just gonna use the bronzer and the highlighter from here today because I have another blush that I want to use instead, but I do love these blushes. They are really beautiful. So we're gonna try the bronzer in here out with the A507 brush. I really like this brush. I'm normally not into the angled brushes as much, but this one's really large, which I like. Gosh, guys, I feel like it's been forever since I have used just a powder bronzer. Just realized my chair was in the way. I'm trying to do the clean background for a little bit, see how I like it. So all my furniture is like moved to the sides, and I had to get into my makeup drawer, so my little chair made a reappearance there for a minute. Maybe it was there the whole time and I didn't notice. A little bit up to the temples. There we go. I feel like very nice and soft. I feel like I need more time with this. Sometimes it takes a minute to figure out like how dense a brush is and how to use it with some of your products. I kind of feel like I overdid it on the bronzer on this side, but I don't think that was necessarily the product or the brush, but just kind of the combination of the two, or using it for the first time. So far, so good. I'll keep you guys posted on this, but pretty happy with those brushes so far. So let's move on to the cream blush. So I have a couple here that are my favorites for summer. First off, this one's from Milk Makeup. This is the color Perk, which is a nice kind of like peachy pink, very vibrant. Actually looks almost exactly like another one that I pulled out right here. This is from Fenty. This is Petal Poppin'. Love this one for summertime here. Okay, yeah, they're almost identical. No wonder I love them both. So this is Petal Poppin', this is Perk. They're basically the same. And then I also pulled out Max Grand. Why don't we swatch this one too? I have a feeling all three of these are going to be just about the same color. Grand's just a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit more peachy. Okay, which one to use today? Let's go with the Milk Makeup one, why don't we? And I am still tempted to try the brush that I used for my concealer. I'll have to wash it after I do this. I'm just trying to get the product off it, just using a little bit of makeup remover and the rag. It looks like it's pretty well clean. Why don't we give it a try? I feel like this is gonna be a little bit weird. I think this is probably going to be too small, but if it was just a little bit bigger, this would be the perfect brush for a cream blush. And who knows, maybe it will work better than I'm thinking that it might. So I'm just kind of starting, built up quite a bit of product on there, and then we're just kind of tapping it very lightly. Just kind of in a circle. Not bad, not, again, I think just a little bit too small. So probably after I wash this, I will probably just use this for concealer. I do like it for concealer though. I'm kind of excited about that because I have not found a brush that I really love for concealer up until now, but this worked really nicely. You could use it for a cream or liquid blush. It's just not the perfect size. It takes a little bit more, I don't know, thought or work to kind of get the shape just right and get it blended just right because it is a little on the small side. But I figured we would try it out just so I would know. Okay, let's go on to a little bit of highlighter and then we'll finish off with the lips. I'm just gonna go back over to that Sydney Grace palette. For this, I don't really have a particular highlight brush from the Angie set, so we're just gonna use this Sydney Grace brush and just pop a little bit on my cheeks, right at the cheekbones, top of my nose. I always like putting it on my lips, even though I know it looks crazy initially. And then I kind of like wipe some of it off. It's just a routine. Okay, now for the lips today. I wanted to go over to my Buxom lip liner. This one's in the shade Hush Hush Henna. And we're gonna use a lipstick today, which I have not used a lipstick for a while, you guys. A long, long while. First, just a bit of overlining. Okay, and then the lipstick that I picked out is from Flower Beauty. This is the shade Peachy Nude. And then because I must have glossy lips, let's throw a little bit of gloss on top of that. I'm just gonna take a little bit of Sweet Mouth from Fenty. And to set that in place, Use a little bit of setting spray today. It's summertime. Technically it's not, but because this is a summertime look, it's actually only like 58 degrees outside today. But it looks like summer. And here we are, guys. This is the completed summertime makeup look. Love how this one turned out. Very happy with these brushes. I'm excited to keep playing with them. I can tell they're really good quality. I'm gonna give them a wash and let you guys know kind of how they held up, how they were to wash. I'm sure they're gonna be fine. I hear really good things about them. But let me know what you guys thought of the finished makeup look, some of these summertime makeup products. What are you excited to pull out this summer, if it is summer where you're living? I know that's not all of us, but for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm thinking about coming back and doing a summertime, like my favorite palettes for the summertime video. I'm also due for a declutter, you guys, and I'm thinking a massive declutter. Oh, these are always hard for me to do. I'm kind of a hoarder at heart. Not really, but I could go. I lean towards hoarding. I have a hard time getting rid of makeup, but I need to do a very extensive decluttering of pretty much everything, especially my eyeshadow palettes and my bronzers and blushes. That drawer is overfilling and I have too much stuff. I can't use all this, and I know there are people out there that could get much better use out of some of these products than I can. I don't need all of this. So that will be coming up soon. Keep an eye out for that. And let that be a reminder, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, make sure to do that before you leave and make sure notifications are turned on. But that's gonna do it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. And then the crunch kind of goes away after a couple hours, but it looks a little bit crispy today, like ramen noodles. It's okay. It's like watermelon lemonade is this makeup look. I have a candle called Watermelon Lemonade from Bath and Body Works, which is delicious, by the way. But I did pick up the lilac candle this spring because I've been wanting to try it for a couple of years. It gets such great reviews. I did not like how that candle smelled. My husband, my kids hated it too. Everyone said it gave them a headache. It was just too florally. Maybe I'll give it to my mom because it kind of does smell like a grandma's house. I'm sure some of you love it. It's one of their highest rated candles for the springtime, but we just did not get along very well. Tiki Beach, Mahogany Vanilla, any of the ones that have coconut in them or kind of smell like a pina colada, that's what I like.